Hello everyone, welcome to NepaliNaati, the #1 NAATI CCL test preparation platform for Nepali students. In this video, we're going to talk about the 15 most frequently asked questions by students preparing for the CCL test. And we're going to start right now. The NAATI CCL test is scored on 3 factors. The first one is accuracy, the second one is quality of language, and the third one is quality of delivery. Accuracy involves things such as insertion, omission, and distortion, and you should be very careful not to do these mistakes in your test. The second one is quality of language. It includes things such as grammar, sentence structure, and so on. And the last one is quality of delivery, which involves things such as your oral fluency, hesitations, and it also includes self-corrections. If you'd like to know about the scoring guide in depth, then please enroll in one of our courses, where I explain you the scoring guide in detail, and I also explain you what the assessors expect from you. It is very, very important to know the scoring guide, because once you understand the scoring guide in detail, you know what the assessors expect from you, and then you can do the same in your test. Okay, and the second question is it easy to pass the CCL test? This is the first question that I get from students who have just started their preparation. To answer these questions, I would say that yes, it is easier than getting band 8 in PTE, easier than getting band 7 as well. Getting band 8 in PTE gives you 20 points, while passing the CCL test gives you 5 points only, so it should not be that difficult, and it isn't as well. From my experience of teaching CCL for almost 2 years now, I can tell you that most of the students, once they pass the test, they get surprised themselves that they think the test wasn't that good, but still they managed to pass the test. So from the students' experience as well, and also compared with the diploma level of tests that we used to have 2 years back, I must say that CCL test is a lot easier. Nowadays, CCL has quite a high passing rate. Before it was below I think around maybe 50%, but nowadays we have 90 and above. So for example, at NepaliNaati, we have 99% passing rate, which is quite high. But you need to have the right practice materials, the right guidance. You need to practice for about 4 weeks at least, I would say. And you need to use a language, especially your native language, LOTE, language other than English, as much as you can, because everyone finds interpretation from English to their own native language difficult than the other way around. I get this question from students who are overseas. You can start your preparation online with us. You can even book the NAATI CCL test while you're overseas, but unfortunately, you cannot take the test any elsewhere rather than Australia. So you have to be here to take the test. This is the most common questions and probably the most important one as well regarding the CCL test. There are 2 dialogues that you get in the test. Right? So for each dialogue, you can ask 1 repetition without any penalty, without any negative marking. For each dialogue. So for dialogue 1, 1 repetition, and for dialogue 2, 1 repetition without any negative marking. Now, if you feel the need, you can ask for more than 1 repetition too. So for example, you can ask for the same segment to be played 3 times, right? But then you will get negative marking. So any repetitions more than 1 will attract -1. So it means that in dialogue 1, let's say if you ask for, let's say 3 repetitions. So the first repetition is free, but then the 2 additional repetitions will incur -2. Likewise, if you ask for 5 repetitions in dialogue 2, you will get -4. And sometimes it's actually worth taking the risk, because sometimes you feel if you haven't noted down half the information, then there's no use of starting the interpretation, because you will definitely lose 50% of your points. So in those cases, it's actually better to to ask for 2nd or 3rd repetitions, even though you're going to get negatively marked, because then you will only get negative marking of -1. And then if you can manage to interpret the whole information with accurate language and register, then you can still get full marks. So you will only lose 1 point because of the additional repetition. So in some cases, it's actually worth taking the risk. I suggest to keep your repetitions to less than 3 per dialogue. So not more than 3 repetitions for dialogue 1 and not more than 3 repetitions for dialogue 2 as well. The reason is that sometimes if you ask for more than 3 repetitions, or let's say if you ask for 6 or 7 repetitions, it is going to affect your quality of language. You may have maintained your accuracy while asking for repetitions, but then you cannot maintain your quality of your language or the quality of delivery while doing so. So try not to go above 3 repetitions for each dialogue. The same applies for self-corrections too. Now, NAATI has not mentioned that test takers will be marked negatively if they ask for self-correction or if they do self-corrections. So it means that self-corrections are not marked as harshly as repetitions are, but then try to minimize your self-corrections too. Again, the same reason as excessive repetition, it is going to affect your quality of delivery. So my advice is keep your self-corrections to less than 3 per dialogue as well. This is the question that I get from beginners of the CCL test. No, you don't fail the test just because you use one English word or because you use one Nepali word while you should not have. The thing is, the full marks of the test is 90. You only need 63 to pass. You need a minimum of 29 in each dialogue and a total of 63. So it means that there's plenty of room for error. So even if you used some English words, such as let's say the segment is in English language and you should interpret in your own native language. Now you did not know the interpretation of let's say 1 or 2 words and you use the same language as a target. So if you mix English words while interpreting in Nepali, you will definitely lose some points, but then you will not lose points so much that you get 0 for that particular segment, right? So it means that there is passive scoring, so you lose some points, but not everything. So if you have maintained the information, you have maintained your quality of the language register and everything, you can still get very good points and still pass the test. Maybe not, you might not get 75 or 80 out of 90, but you can still get around 65. All right, so this depends on you. This depends on 2 factors. The first factor is how much time you have and how much time you can put in every day. The second factor is your previous skills. So let's talk about the first factor. Most of the students studying with us, they generally have around 4 to 6 weeks for their preparation, and rarely do they have more than 2 months or 3 months. We've had very few students who actually prepare for more than 3 months. So most of them prepare for 1 to 1.5 months for the test. So as long as you can study for about 1 to 2 hours every day and practice around 5 to 10 dialogues, 1.5 months, 6 weeks to 8 weeks should be enough for you. Now, the second factor that determines your preparation time is your previous language skill as well. For example, how fluent you are at your own native language, how used to are you using the language in daily context, and how fluent are you in English language as well. So, for example, let's say you're talking with your friend in your native language, and then you tend to use some English words here and there. So this shows that you are used to using English words even though you are conversing in your own language. So this might create a difficulty for you in the test. On the other hand, let's say you don't have this problem. While you're talking in Nepalese, you can speak confidently without using any English words, then you will find the CCL test quite easy for you. At NepaliNaati, we have past exam questions in our course in Gold Kit package only, not in Silver Kit or Basic Kit. We have past exam questions. So for example, in the 6th of December test, the questions, the dialogues that students got in that test were from the October examination, and we had those dialogues in our course. So I recommend, if you want to practice past questions, enrolling in the Gold Kit with us. And sometimes the past questions are identical, they're exactly the same as previous dialogues. And sometimes they may not be exactly the same, but the theme is similar. So for example, let's say you might get a topic on health based on diabetes, and the patient might be talking about the symptoms and the causes of diabetes. On the other hand, there might be another dialogue. Let's say someone who does the test after 2 months, they might get the same topic, which is diabetes, but then the content might be different. So this time, rather than discussing symptoms and causes, it might be about the treatment of diabetes, or the patient might have been improving, and then they probably are discussing their further strategies. So this way, even though if you don't get exactly the same dialogues, the content may be different, but the theme of the dialogue is similar, and it becomes a lot easier. So again, if your language is Nepali and if you'd like to practice past exam questions, then I suggest enrolling in our Gold Kit. Yes, fluency and pronunciation, they both matter in the test. They don't matter as much as accuracy does. So always keep accuracy at the top. Try not to insert anything extra. Try not to miss anything. Try not to distort the meaning. And then pronunciation and oral fluency are after accuracy. So keep accuracy at the top. And when it comes to fluency and pronunciation, you don't have to maintain a certain speed as you need to in PTE. So there is nothing as, speak faster than this or speak slower than this or speak at this loudness. There is no such thing as at PTE because it is not a computer assessing you. It is a person. So just your regular rate of speech is fine. You can speak a little bit slower than that because it gives you time so you can actually study your note and form sentences in your head quickly before actually interpreting out loud. So speaking slowly might actually be an advantage for you, and you will not lose marks as long as you avoid hesitations while speaking slowly. And when it comes to pronunciation, I don't think it's much of an issue for Nepali students because there are many other languages in other countries where the language has different regional variation that might be difficult. So for example, students from the same country but from different parts of the country actually have different variations, modifications to the language. So there is only one standard form. So that might be difficult for them. However, from my experience of teaching CCL to Nepali students for 2 years, I have not observed much of variation with regards to pronunciation. So you should be fine. But again, pronunciation is not only for Nepalese language, also for English language too. So in both cases, you need to maintain your pronunciation, but it is not assessed as harshly as it is in PTE. Before, there was no test limit, but now from January this year, 2020, NAATI has imposed a 20-minute limit in each session. So it means that you cannot take more than 20 minutes for the test. So for example, if you do excessive self-corrections, or if you're asking for repetitions again and again, or if you're taking more than 5 seconds to start interpreting, then you're probably going over 20 minutes. If that happens, the test officer will actually stop you at the 20 minutes. At the end of 20 minutes, the test officer will stop you and you will not be able to hear the rest of the segment. So clearly you will lose a lot of points. But then there is no reason to get worried about it because most of the students, they finish the test in around 15-20 minutes time. This test duration itself is actually quite short. It's only 2 dialogues. If you just play the dialogues continuously, the length of the dialogue is around 3 minutes. So it doesn't take you a lot of time to do the interpretation. So 20 minutes is actually more than enough. And to give you an idea, what you can do is at home while you're practicing, you can put a timer on your smartphone and then do the interpretation and see how much time does it take you. And if it is more than 20 minutes, you need to reduce that. But if it is around 10-15 minutes, then that's... Yes, you can take the test in other states as well. In fact, most likely you will need to if you're in Sydney, because for Sydney, it's very difficult to get the test dates. Even our students, they travel to Perth, Canberra, Melbourne, and other states from Sydney for the test dates. So it's okay. You don't have to you don't have to be in that, be the resident of that state to appear for the test elsewhere. So it's completely okay, and it's allowed as well. There are 12 different topics that can be asked in the CCL test. So for example, it can be health, consumer affairs, real estate, education, and so on. It is very important that you practice at least a few dialogues, at least 2 or 3 dialogues in each topic. For example, if you practice, let's say 20 dialogues for a health topic and let's say 20 dialogues for education, but you haven't practiced any dialogues for immigration, legal, or housing, then you will find it difficult because the vocabulary are very specific to each dialogues. So you need to know what are the general vocabulary that can be asked in all these 12 topics. Now, in our course, we have dialogues in all the 12 topics. We have vocabulary as well. So I recommend that at home, make sure you're practicing dialogues for all these 12 topics. You don't need to take a pen or a paper for note-taking. It will be provided to you in the test center. They will give you a blank photocopy A4 size paper for note-taking. And you can take notes on that paper, but then you have to leave your notes in the test center, so you can't take it out of the center. Other things which you might want to take with you is your passport for identification, maybe a bottle of water, because who knows how long you have to wait for the test. If the test is going to start from 9 a.m., you might have to wait until 11:30 for your turn. So that's a long time. So you might want to take some food or water with you, or even practice materials. They don't allow electronic materials inside. You have to leave it outside. But if you have to wait for 2-3 hours, you can actually, if you have a hard copy of your dialogues or of your vocabulary, then you can actually use that for practicing. However, I doubt whether or not it is a good idea to start practicing, just a couple of hours before the actual test. It might make you even more nervous. Some students prefer that, but then it's completely up. If you fail the test, you can apply for a review. Your test is actually assessed by 2 different persons, and the average is calculated. However, if you're not satisfied, you can apply for a review, but you have to pay a certain amount of fee. I'm not sure, I think it's around $200. So once you apply for the review, you have to wait for a certain time, and in that time duration, until the results of the review is published, you cannot book another test as well. If you have a doubt that you might fail the test, or because you didn't have enough time to do the preparation, that you might not be able to pass the test in the first attempt, I suggest enrolling in the Gold Kit. With Gold Kit online course that we offer, you can study with us unlimited until you pass the test. Also, if you don't pass the test and you don't want to study unlimited with us, then we will actually give you your money back. So you get your money back guarantee as well as you get unlimited class. So it's a win-win situation, and there is no need to worry about that. So these were the 15 most commonly asked questions by students preparing for the CCL test. If you have some additional questions, then please leave those questions in the comment section. I will answer your questions in the next video. Thank you for watching this video, and good luck from NepaliNaati for your CCL preparation, and I will see you in the next video.